Hey guys, welcome back to Solely Soccer, the destination for lovers of the beautiful game. I know it's been a while since I've posted a video. I'm very sorry, I was a bit busy over these past few days. Grinding football heads. But nonetheless, here it is. And today it's a topic that's been contemplated by many football fans, coaches, journalists, and even players alike. So, without further ado, let's begin. A quick reminder to like the video and subscribe. To be honest, there isn't much in it for you, but if you like the content, then why not? With the growing subscriber count, I feel more and more motivated to expand and roll out higher quality content for the entirety of the 16 people who watch my videos. But anyways, let's get started. Kevin De Bruyne, Thibaut Courtois, Romelu Lukaku. These are just some of the great names on the star-studded team sheet belonging to the Belgian national side. The above-mentioned players belong to an elite group of high-class technicians in the highest echelon of football. The individuals of the squad have discovered their own formula for rampant success in the club levels of Tier 1 football, but for some reason, when they all come together, promise is shown, and it always looks like this time is their time in each and every international tournament they play. But their trophy cabinet always ceases to gain the material it deserves. Again, and again, and again. And again, and again. This is especially peculiar because the team constantly shows its potential and is eventually left packing its bags like I might have to do after my parents see my midterm grades. The group of superstars have racked up so many knockout stages appearances, with their best result being a third place finish in the 2018 World Cup. However, with some of the biggest footballing names on the planet and a team with amazing structure, companionship, and self-coordination, one can't help but wonder, why has Belgium's golden generation failed to win anything? Okay, leave winning something. At least reach a major final. World-class defenders, experienced midfielders, dynamic strikers. Where do the origins of such a powerhouse reside? To truly understand how such a team was formed, we have to go back to a previous generation of promise in Belgian football. The team of 2002, consisting of players like legendary goalkeeper Jean-Marie Pfaff, Bart Moore, and Eric van Meyer that participated in the World Cup that year. Unfortunately, they were knocked out prematurely by a Ronaldo-led Brazil that went on to win the World Cup that year. Post their disappointing exit in the tournament, many veterans and longtime patrons in the team left. The squad was left with scraps. They constantly failed and, quite frankly, sucked at the international stage. After the 2002 World Cup, the team failed to qualify for the 2004 Euro and the 2006 World Cup. Things were, however, gradually getting better for the Belgium national squad, with the appointment of Michel Sablon as Belgian football director in 2006 and the first major point in the timeline of the team's formation. Don't get me wrong, they still played horribly. By 2007, their FIFA ranking had dropped to an all-time low 71st place. Long story short, they were pretty bad. But Sablon didn't much mind the players on the current team, for he was putting his master plan in place. A plan that would change the course of the national squad forever. Step 1. Research. Observing and understanding the format used by the Netherlands and Germany, Sablon began his scanning for new talent in his country. The new director of football decided to change the teaching style of Belgian football academies, making their primary goal to nurture upcoming talent, rather than focus on winning matches in the present. This new mindset obviously created more room for current failure, but the mental strength of the Belgian Football Federation remained unfazed by this. They had belief that good things were to come. Belgium continued to be the laughingstock of international football, but behind the scenes, a team was developing. A team that would prove to be a nightmare for opposing international squads and fan bases alike, and a team that would usher in a new dynasty of football. The Belgium U21 side that sported names like Vincent Kompany, Thomas Vermaelen, Jan Vertonghen, and Marouane Fellaini solidified a hard-earned fourth-place finish in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, signifying a harbinger for good things in the future. But triumph at first-class international level was still hard to come by. By 2008, Vincent Kompany and Marouane Fellaini had broken into major Premier League sides, and Jan Vertonghen had already started playing for the national team back in 2007. The team was slowly but steadily improving. But major tournament victory, or even qualification for that matter, seemed to elude them. Failing to qualify for the 2008 Euro, 2010 World Cup, and the Euro again in 2012, they received lots of scrutiny, but the fans were quickly silenced once the team started showing results. More and more talent was recruited into the side, with the likes of Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, and a 21-year-old Romelu Lukaku getting regular starts in matches, and by 2014 the team was practically complete. They looked like one of the greatest sides in the world during their World Cup qualifying campaign. Sharp, adamant, determined. Easily winning their group, the Belgian team qualified for the 2014 World Cup with the support of their fans and significant hype. They were even one of the favorites to win it all. A team that had been struggling and relentlessly mocked was about to enter a tournament where everyone considered it best to treat them with caution. They could confidently say, "Bring on Brazil." With the 2014 World Cup looming and 32 teams in the midst of extremely dense and thorough preparation, a Belgium team was gearing up to face the expectation and training its players to be able to carry the burden of the hopes of 11.6 million people on their collective shoulders. So no pressure, right? Well, it certainly didn't look like it had its effect on the team. Throughout the course of the group stage, Belgium looked fairly good and picked up a total of 9 points in Group H with 3 clinical victories against the likes of Russia, whom they beat 1-0, Algeria, who were defeated 2-1, and Korea, who also lost 1-0. Despite an unbeaten record, people still felt like the team was yet to show off its true class, and they were expected to pick up in the knockouts. The round of 16 match was drawn against the USA, and I'm sure you remember the 17 saves that brilliant goalkeeper Tim Howard made, denying practically every Belgian attempt thrown at him. He still let in 2 goals. And thanks to devastating strikes from Kevin De Bruyne and young Romelu Lukaku, Belgium was drawn into a quarterfinal matchup against a Lionel Messi-led Argentine squad, who found a goal via striker Gonzalo Higuain early on, which proved to be the difference between the two. It was a hard-fought game from the Red Devils, but eventually the whistle blew and millions of Belgian fans were left heartbroken in Brasilia. The Albiceleste were able to move on all the way to the final. And well, most of us know what happened there. So 2014 had been a bust. Well, for this team it had been a bust. One thing we have to remember is that Belgium has never looked bad in any tournament during the 2014 to 2022 period, but it is the stunning exits in the knockouts that seem to baffle football fans. So like I was saying, 2014 was disappointing, and with the shining and rise of many players at domestic and club level, the Belgian supporters marked their calendars and pinned their hopes on the 2016 European Championships. The players were hopeful, they were ready, and they were determined to put their mark on international football. The Belgians stepped out onto the pitch ready for a gritty and dominating match, and then proceeded to lose 2-0 to Italy. But nonetheless, they brushed it off and proceeded to take all their anger out on the pitiful likes of Ireland and Sweden. After strategically crushing the hopes and dreams of 2 separate fan bases, Belgium moved on to the round of 16, where they strategically crushed the hopes and dreams of yet another fan base with a devastating 4-0 win against Hungary. Poor Hungarian players. Their families had to see that. So the Belgian powerhouse set its sights on a Wales team in the quarterfinal, a matchup in which they were overwhelming favorites to progress to a game against Portugal. But somewhere along the way, something went wrong. They did come in with intent and actually took the lead just 13 minutes in thanks to the boot of Radja Nainggolan, but then the collapse started. 30 minutes in, Ashley Williams 1-1, Hal Robson Kanu in the 55th minute 2-1. Belgium are behind. They try to fight back, but the 85th minute nail in the coffin from Sam Vogt saw Belgium exit a tournament yet again, in the quarterfinals. The post-match scenes were saddening for both the fans and players as the Belgian squad walked back to the dressing room wondering about the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Off the back of their failure in the European Championships, a group of Belgian players gathered to compete at the 21st edition of the FIFA World Cup. This time was different from all those before because it featured one of the most powerful Belgian sides in this particular period, probably the most formidable of all. Eden Hazard was tearing it up for Chelsea, as was the 25-year-old Romelu Lukaku for Manchester United, with De Bruyne, Meunier, and a rotation between Chadli and Witsel in midfield. Adding on to the experience of Marouane Fellaini, Vincent Kompany, and Jan Vertonghen, there was virtually no way this team could lose. Regardless, there was still a tournament to play. And again, like a badly written movie script, Belgium cruised through their group stage fixtures, sporting a perfect record and showing their class with a 3-0 win against Panama, a 5-2 victory against Tunisia, and a 1-0 triumph against England, leading them to gain 9 points and a first-place finish in Group G. So now, after a quite dominant 3 games in the group stage round, it was now time for the do-or-die stage of the tournament, the knockouts. The first knockout game was against Japan, a team that had just scraped its way into the last 16 and was looking to make history against a highly fancied Belgium side. It looked like the Japanese fairy tale was set to continue. 47 minutes in, Genki Haraguchi stroked the ball past goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois to give Japan the lead. But never mind, Belgium could only brush it off and try to equalize. They did come close with Eden Hazard rattling the post. Belgium continued to search for an equalizing goal while Japan decided not to back down and to try and add to its lead. 8 minutes later, Takashi Inui scored and made it 2-0 Japan. It looked like Belgium was about to be knocked out prematurely yet again. But this time, they proved that they were the team to beat in the tournament. 61st minute, Jan Vertonghen with a goal that will probably go down as one of the most iconic headers in World Cup history. 75th minute, Captain Hazard teases a cross into the Japanese penalty area. Fellaini heads it home. It's 2-2. Japan take a corner on what will be the last kick of the game. Courtois safely gathers it and rolls it out for the counter-attack. De Bruyne leads the attack. Japan are desperate to get back. The ball is crossed to Romelu Lukaku, who in an amazing show of maturity and awareness lets it go, and the ball comes to the feet of Nasser Chadli, who easily taps it into the goal. Belgium have done it. They've pulled off one of the greatest World Cup comebacks. The team, staff members, and fans are absolutely elated. The team seems invincible now and seems like a squad that is practically destined to go all the way. Belgium rode this confidence into a high-stakes quarterfinal game against fellow tournament favourites Brazil. An own goal from Fernandinho and a brilliant strike from Kevin De Bruyne meant that Belgium was set to cross their uncrossable threshold with a thrilling 2-1 victory. But we don't talk about that. The Red Devils gave their fans something to cheer about at Kazan with a historic victory against the likes of Neymar, Marcelo, Paulinho, Coutinho and company. But clearly it was because of match fixing, and I personally demand a thorough investigation into the conditions that this game was played under. Obviously that's a joke. Kind of. Either way, Belgium was gaining confidence by the game, and they were riding a lot of momentum into their match against another tournament powerhouse, France. I'm sure most of the footballing population knows what happened to France in 2018, but nevertheless, I'm sure this thrilling game deserves a description. The match started and both France and Belgium came in with a hunger for an appearance in the prestigious World Cup final. There were so many attacks on both sides and many saves were squeezed out of Thibaut Courtois and Hugo Lloris. A 55th minute header from Samuel Umtiti proved to be the difference between the two squads. A goal that is probably still ingrained in the minds of French and Belgian supporters alike, a Belgian side desperately slinging shot after shot at a defiant French defense and whatever this is, made this semi-final a must-watch, and honestly it was a shame that any team had to lose, but if the winning team had been Belgium, I don't think I would have posted this video. Dejection for a team who was riding serious confidence and momentum into this heavyweight clash. They had failed yet again. A 2-0 win over England to finish third place marked the end of their tournament and their highest ever placing in any international competition. They had at least taken something away from Russia, even if it wasn't the souvenir they came for. So Belgium. 3 major tournaments, 3 major failures. With the gradual aging of many stars and the postponing of the 2020 European Championships, most faith in the side was lost. On top of this, Manchester City legend Vincent Kompany had retired, leaving a gaping hole in the team. Many started labeling this generation with terms like overrated and underachieving, but this didn't necessarily mean the team's downfall. They were still stronger than ever and had even gone up to position number 1 in the FIFA team rankings. Many were betting on Belgium to finally bring home a trophy for the amount of sheer talent and raw chemistry the players had. And with this, we segue into Euro 2021. Or 20, depending on whether you're an advertising mogul or UEFA, don't sue. Anyways, the pain of Euro 2016 was still fresh in the memory of many Belgian supporters. A lot was expected from the team off the back of their successful run in the 2018 World Cup and their current run of forms in recent matches. The anxious Belgian fans and supporters were eager to get the tournament underway. It started very well for them, collecting wins against a Russian side that had successfully managed to annoy one of the coolest heads in the sport, a Finland side with a goalkeeper that was still understanding that the point of the game is to keep the ball outside the net. I'm kidding. Obviously, Lukas Radetzky knows how to goalkeep. They also had a game against Denmark. Honestly, no witty remarks for them. If you saw a Danish fan after this match, I hope you gave them a hug. Another perfect group stage campaign. Call me crazy, but I think I'm starting to sense a pattern here. Anyways, Belgium was drawn into a round of 16 game against the defending champions Portugal, in which Torgan Hazard produced one of the goals of the tournament and knocked out a 36-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo in what could have been his last ever Euro. Ronaldo, being the professional that he is, took it pretty well though. so they had already embarrassed teams and devastated legends in their campaign of just 4 matches. As always, Belgium was showing some serious promise. They played their quarterfinal match against Roberto Mancini's Italy at Munich. It was not expected to be a cakewalk for the Belgians, but people did think they would advance to yet another semi-final. The game started and both teams adopted a pressing style of football, putting pressure on each other and even cancelling each other out. Italy eventually managed a goal via a Bonucci tap-in, which was called offside. It didn't matter though. Soon after, Nicolo Barella smashed the ball from the right post into the left side netting, 1-0 to Italy. 13 minutes later, the nimble Lorenzo Insigne gets loose and scampers through the Belgian defense. He curls one beautifully into the side of the net. A goal fit to win any tournament, let alone a quarterfinal. 2-0 Italy. All is not lost for Belgium though. In stoppage time for the first half, Jeremy Doku ensues in a blistering run and the Italian defender is forced to use illegal methodology to stop him. A penalty is awarded to Belgium, which Romelu Lukaku hits home with stunning pace and mocking accuracy. Much like they did against France 3 years ago, Belgium desperately flailed all the shots they could at goal, with the huge frame of Donnarumma launching himself all over the place and slapping the ball outside the penalty area each and every time. Vermaelen, Tielemans, Doku, Lukaku and company didn't let the Italians rest. When the dust of gritty battle had settled, Italy had booked its place in the next round, and Belgium was left with yet another major tournament failure. Well, at least the Nations League semi-final is coming up. Okay, fine. This time, even though they weren't in the same form as 2018, there was still hope for a Belgian squad that did do good enough in their Euro campaign 4 months ago. But once again, the generation of promise and amazing multifaceted talent continued to twist the knife they had almost permanently implanted in the hearts of millions of fans and supporters by losing 3-2 in their Nations League semi-final game against a French side who were hungry for an international trophy post their Euro 2020 road. Once again, so close, yet so far away. It's okay, Belgian fans, the long and gruesome timeline is over. But there's one thing I can't wrap my head around. How exactly has this team failed? They've had 5 attempts to satisfy their fans and haven't done anything. Such a great team with these types of superstars shouldn't be failing like this. I mean, everyone thinks they're gonna win, and then they lose. Well, therein lies the problem. It's the expectation. I mean, every time they've entered a tournament, they have to overcome the pressure of expectation, a feat that many golden generations before have failed to do. England. Even so, they constantly manage to get into the knockout stages, showing how talented they are both physically and mentally. The team is naturally gifted, they are fan favorites, and this in turn has made many neutral supporters on their side. So now, not just 11.6 million people, as if that wasn't enough. Countless people around the world are cheering for you, not to mention the heat added by press reporters, journalists, internet users, etc., and you have practically unsurmountable pressure. And as the team ages, many call certain tournaments this team's last chance, adding to even more intense pressure on the team to win something now. In my opinion, their shortcomings have been a collation of the layering of pressure and intense expectation that not many can cope with, and it's a true shame that such a talented group of players has never reached the pinnacle of football, or the heights that they were assumed to. And maybe it's finally time for the team to submit to their circumstance. Said no one ever. Okay, maybe it's almost time up for this squad of Belgian players, but I must say, the future looks very bright for the Belgian team. With Jeremy Doku's electrifying start to international football being the main shining spot for the Red Devils, and new talents like Martin van der Voort and Yuri Tielemans making their rise in the domestic circuit, many have renewed hope and faith for the future of Belgian football. And with the 2022 World Cup right around the corner, and many people returning to the side to contest in what could be, again, their so-called last opportunity, I don't think all is lost for this team. So will the Belgian team be a golden generation without any trophies? Will their legacy be but a shadow of their constant underachievement? Absolutely not. They have up-and-coming young talents who have been able to get recognized in domestic and club football, and many players are still only in their early 30s. Romelu Lukaku is still only 29. The World Cup is just months away in November, and teams are rigorously preparing to try and firm a grasp on glory. So will Belgium take this as their chance to create a claim to fame, or will they let yet another opportunity slip past them? One thing's for certain. Most of the world is rooting for them in 2022, and only time will tell if the team can return the favor of undying support. That's it for this week's video. This is me signing off. Until next time,